Hey friend. So, quick talk. There's a lot of confusion around what kind of language we use when we discuss suicide in general, but let's get into one of the most common ones and one of the ones that needs to be addressed as commonly as it comes up, and that's what sort of language do we use when we speak about it. So, you, me, probably everybody in the English-speaking world grew up hearing the phrase committed suicide. Those two words have gone together like peanut butter and jelly most of our lives. That's probably what most of us have experienced. And it's very hard to change language once it's been set and stuck in our heads, and that's okay. It's not always easy, even professionals slip up sometimes, but it is important, and there's a reason why we don't want to use the word committed anymore. So first off, you may have heard people say completed suicide. This was sort of an in-between term, and you'll usually only find it in a clinical setting, and that isn't always necessary for the sort of discussions we have day to day in public with other people. Completed is a very specific use case, and it's not something that you're going to be using in conversation. So while you might read that in some journals or papers or books or things, it's not necessary. What we prefer is died by suicide, took their lives, ended their lives. Here are the reasons why. Words have meanings. We all agree that words have meanings. That's how we communicate. We all agree collectively, societally, as the speakers of a particular language, that this word means this, therefore we can all understand each other when we use it. Well, English is several languages stacked on top of each other wearing a trench coat and pretending to be its own language. So we have these unusual things that happen, like with the word committed. Now, committed can be used in a positive sense. You can say, I am committed to keeping my New Year's resolutions. You can say, I am committed to changing for the better. But more often than not, when we use the word, it's in a negative light. So we say things like, you committed adultery, you committed tax evasion, or you committed grand theft auto. We don't use it in a positive way, and it's very hard to discuss suicide in anything but a negative light, so the word takes on that negative connotation, and it brings with it an implication of criminality, and this is an old holdover from a lot of laws and the way insurance used to be handled, things where there used to be signs on tall buildings reminding people in some jurisdictions that it is illegal to kill yourself. I don't know how they're going to prosecute you for that, but there we go. Now, in fairness to us as a society, we like to do everything we can to minimize the amount of people that do feel the need to and then follow through on taking their lives. That's always been a priority for us, regardless of what dark age of thought we've been in. But let's also remember that we used to, and I think in some places still do, have laws about when it is and isn't appropriate to bring emus to movie theaters. So maybe tradition isn't always necessary to follow in terms of how we discuss things and consider our laws. We also don't want to use the term commit suicide for exactly its potential connotations for the positive. When we say we're committed to keeping our New Year's resolution, that implies that we have a level of agency and that we have a path laid out before us and we have an idea of what it is we want to do, and then we do it. That's not how suicide works. A suicidal mind has self-destructed. The human survival instinct is so strong. We have entire television shows and movies and things about people gnawing off their own legs to crawl for days through forests and deserts and things just to survive. There's an entire genre of media around survival. When that instinct, that base powerful instinct in the human mind is somehow corrupted, turned upside down, and turns into a self-destruct instinct, we're not talking about rationality anymore. So saying something like committed implies a level of agency that just isn't there. That's not how it works. And we could get into an hour-long lecture on the science of this and the psychology of this, but for right now, in terms of a quick and dirty reason to not use that word, there's your two right there. It implies a level of agency that just isn't accurate when we're discussing the suicidal mind. And it implies a level of criminality that we want to get away from it to help destigmatize this. And this is just how language evolves. We learn new things, we adapt to them, we adopt them. And language is part of that. So the language around suicide loss has to be changed. And it's not just a matter of political correctness. That's actually probably the least important thing about the entire process of changing this dialogue. It's about accuracy. And something that we have too much of floating around is inaccurate information, misinformation, and just misunderstandings around the topic. But there's still so much stigma surrounding suicide in general that this is why we have to change it. If we can't have an open discussion with people where they don't immediately recoil because of the connotations of the words we use, it's going to be very hard to get into any of the rest of the necessary conversations that are a little more uncomfortable and challenging for some people. So, thanks for listening. We'll see you at the next talk, and we hope that you have a wonderful day, given the situation. We'll see you, friend. Bye for now.